All right. Good afternoon, everybody. As you can see, I've got the chats turned back on this week, so hopefully those are all set up correctly. If we do have some issues, I may stop and juggle some stuff in OBS and see if we can get it repaired. But I think the chats should be going pretty good. I see a couple of messages in there. I do need to shuffle a few of my windows around so that I can actually see them on my screens. And I think pause this. How's it going to Dave Odessa and Beatograph over in the YouTube chats? Nice to see both of you this fine Friday afternoon as usual. Just about there. Let's see here. Okay, let me put this one back to here as well for the Discord. How's it going, Paul Cutler, as well as Katney? Thanks to both of you for tuning in, and I think we're actually ready now, so OBS can get out of the way. Actually, let me throw OBS over in the background here so I can try to keep an eye on it. Really need the preview. Okay, wow, that's probably made the chat look all weird for a second, but we should be all right afterwards. How's it going to Larry Bowman over in the YouTube chat? Nice to see you. So let's get the show on the road. I think we have over here CircuitPython.org. So for anybody that might be new, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. This is the Deep Dive program. On this program, we are looking at all things CircuitPython. Sometimes we look at different stuff. It depends from week to week just what's going on. Sometimes it will be in the CircuitPython core or the CircuitPython libraries or surrounding infrastructure. Or in the case like we have today, I will be playing around more with a CircuitPython project, sort of user level code instead of core or library stuff. How's it going to see Grover over there on Discord? For folks that are brand new to this, though, if you're catching the stream for the first time, if you've never seen anything like this, if you don't know what I am talking about, you can learn more here at CircuitPython.org. This is the main website for the project. CircuitPython is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. This one happens to be in a case, which actually makes it not the greatest of examples. Let's look at a picture of what it actually looks like here. This one is a PyGamer device, but basically this little handheld device has got a tiny computer on it, and we are writing Python code that runs on that tiny computer. And in the case of this device, obviously it's kind of formatted like a little handheld gaming device, so it's got some built-in peripherals like a joystick, buttons, screen, some NeoPixels, a couple other things. But more generally speaking, these microcontrollers that CircuitPython run in come in all different shapes and sizes. We're using one particular device today, but there are many, many, many different devices, 388 right now devices that support CircuitPython, and they are all different shapes and sizes and capabilities and functionalities and all these different things. So if you are interested to learn more, probably the best two places to go are going to be CircuitPython.org as well as the Discord, which is linked down below on the screen down there. The Adafruit Discord on there is a CircuitPython dev channel as well as a CircuitPython help channel where you can get help with your projects or whatever you're trying to work on, or if you're interested in getting involved in development, you can join us over in the dev channel. Stay up to date on all the stuff going on over there. CircuitPython is an open source project. Anybody is allowed to use it. Anybody is allowed to actually even port it to their own hardware if they would like to do so. It is funded primarily by this company, Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. Adafruit's hardware and software company based out of New York in the United States. They are paying the folks who work on CircuitPython. There are a team of folks who work on the project full-time that are paid by Adafruit. There are other folks like me who are paid to work on the project part-time, as well as stream and do the things like this. Adafruit is the one making that possible, so huge thank you to them. And then if you want to help support the project, one of the ways you can do that is by heading over to adafruit.com and purchasing yourself some hardware from there. They manufacture and sell the microcontroller devices themselves. This device we have here, this PyGamer device, is a Adafruit device. You can buy that on their shop, although I think it may be out at this point. But they make all sorts of microcontrollers, as well as little add-on devices, which you can plug into your microcontroller and interact with. Things like sensors, buzzers, beepers, buttons, switches, levers, lights, speakers, sounds, all kinds of things like this. You can get yourself all of those fun toys over on Adafruit.com. And thank you for all the folks that do purchase hardware from there, again, because you are helping keep this whole thing moving. Let's see. Post. I don't typically. I don't typically post links for the deep dive, although sometimes other folks do when we get started. Some folks like to click through the link inside the Discord. No worries. So today's project is, as you may have got a sneak peek of before, we're working on this little conference badge thing. This is actually for Kattni, who's in the chat here with us. Kattni's going to be heading out to PyCon in the upcoming week, I think, is it? And so we are working on a project that will run on the Pi badge, which I should also probably show real fast, since mine is actually a little bit different. But these devices are very, very similar. This Pi badge device here is kind of a slightly different configuration and a few other small changes compared to the PyGamer that I'm using, but they are largely the same, and the software that runs on them is very much carry overable. There's probably a better way to put that, but we can write our program so that it runs on either device, and it doesn't matter so much which one you actually run it on. This is kind of designed to be a conference badge device. You can do something like we have in the camera here, hello, my name is. It can also do a couple other bits of functionality, like showing an image with some text overlaid, showing a QR code back to this hello, my name is, and then in this case we also have a menu which will allow us to launch some other CircuitPython scripts. So we'll get into some of that kind of stuff later on, but the specific bit that I'm actually about to get started on right now, or I should say get started working on right now on the stream, is more to do with a remote control thing that this does. So if we look in the serial output, which we will need to rerun it for because I did miss when it printed the first time, one of the things that this is doing is connecting to the Wi-Fi network and then hosting a web server that responds to a couple of different URLs here. And so we're using these URLs to actually have some kind of like remote control buttons to do some different things on the badge. Right now, what we've got set up is being able to turn on the LEDs and set the color of those. Let's see. Next Wednesday, leaving for PyCon. Do you folks, Adafruit, have people going to Oshawa Hardware Summit at the end of the month? Good question, and I do not know the answer myself, although somebody else may. There we go. So if I load up the browser, we can also just navigate to the IP address of the badge, which I should mention as well. This badge has ordinarily does not have network access, but it has a airlift featherwing on there, which is what's giving it the ability to actually connect to the Wi-Fi and host its server and stuff. Interestingly, we got this thing, which looks suspiciously like a weird random chunk of HTML that was duplicated or partially missing or something. I think I'm just going to refresh here and see if that goes away. Yeah, I was kind of expecting that it might. I guess in that case is just we didn't, like, we received a jumbled message or something on the browser side, and for some reason it didn't realize it and repair it or ask for the data again. That is pretty weird. I have not seen that before with this particular project. So what we have here, though, we are viewing a page that's hosted on the Pi badge. So right now we're actually connected to a server that's on this Pi badge. It has loaded up this HTML page for us, which is from static index HTML, which is just a file that's on our device. This page has a color picker on it, so we can click on this, choose a color, and then we can click on set color, and this will turn on the neopixels and set them to the color that we selected. I will say the camera that I am using is not the best at picking up neopixels that are directly kind of like shining right into it. So the color does not look 100%, necessarily to match up like with what we saw over here. But that's kind of how it goes with the camera that I have available. You gotta set a blue like this. One thing I have found is the darker colors are kind of nice because by default the neopixels are very, very bright. So if you choose like a bright blue, then it's going to turn on full blast, which may be what you want, but sometimes it's not. So like that. See, this one is much brighter. I don't know if it comes through the camera quite as well. Seems like it probably does, just because you can see how crazy huge the blue halo is now. So I've been sticking down towards the bottom half of these for the most part while I am testing them. Let's catch up over on the YouTube. How's it going, Johnny? As well as Grumpy FPV. How's it going, my friend? The IR camera menu item is because we also have, Katney mentions in the chat there, she's also got an AMG 3388, which is a thermal camera, I believe, right? Connected onto that device as well. So the badge, when you go to select here, you've got a couple options. One of them will be to launch a script that interacts with that thermal camera. The other one will be to launch the Snake game. Which will actually probably also make a few tweaks to that Snake game as well once we get in here. What color picker are you using? Good question. I'll show you in just a second here. Color picker it is a third-party color picker. I tried to use the stock one in the browser at first, but my phone's browser, was it my phone or my computer or both? Now I don't actually remember which browser it was, but one or both of the browsers, they only gave me a list of colors to choose from, like, here's 10 colors, choose the one you want, rather than this one where obviously we get this whole kind of like swatch where we can choose anything in the rainbow and any, lightness, darkness, all of that stuff of it. And it is called this color RIS. I'll link that one. Link that one in the chat here. This is what that is. My 3D printed case will have a thin layer of white filament over the neopixel. Oh yeah. That's actually the way to go, is like a cover on the neopixels, like that paper or plastic, something like that, to kind of deaden the brightness of them. Goes a long way, honestly, towards saving your eyeballs with those things for sure. So that is our color picker. What we want to do is add some information to the page. We want to add some information to the badge itself on the screen. So that's what we're working on. One of the first bits of information we want to add is the IP address, which it is printing in the terminal down here somewhere. But we want to show it on the screen. I guess probably... What do you think, Katney? Do you want to show it on the same screen as the QR? Or show it on like the image one like this? I kind of lean towards the QR personally, because this one I assume will be your name and maybe email or something, the same way as it is in here. I always forget which one of these is which. QR code on the So I think if we scooch the QR code maybe up, that way it's away from the neopixels, which might hinder the ability to scan it if somebody was trying to scan it. If we scoot it up, then we'll have room below it, and below it we can put some text. So let's see if we can't figure that out. Paper works well. Yeah, that's usually what I end up with on my desk here, is just a piece of like printer paper kind of draped on top of my neopixels. Same screen as the QR. So this is partially kind of the stock PyBadger example project. So let's see where it's going. It's going to be saying show QR code here. Let's look inside that a bit. We may need to tweak a few things in it from the user code here in order to shift it around some. Let's see. But it's all MPY files, of course. I think I'm going to get the Python files of this for now, just so I can look inside of it more easily. Whoa. Circup install Adafruit PyBadger -py. About QR. Yep. The IP of the page is actually, it is embedded in that QR, so you can scan that as well with your phone, and it'll take you to that color choosing page. Into here now. Yeah. Okay, so that's gonna make a QR code. It's gonna make a palette for it. It is gonna make a group called QR code, and it's gonna say self.display.show QR code. Right here, it's setting the height and width, which is this, so we should be able to change, well, not the height and width, I should say, not the height and width, but the X and Y, actually. We should be able to change the Y by getting access to this tile grid and then just resetting the Y on it, which I think we can do by, does it recreate this every time? It does. It might be good to create this once and keep it, but that's kind of inside this library, not a thing for this project. Okay, so we will be set to QR code, which is the group, and then it has only a single thing in it, which is the tile grid. So we should be able to say, after we've done this, we should be able to go PyBadger.display.root group. This should be the group that our QR code is in. If we go 0, that should be our tile grid. If we go Y equals 0, that should move it to the top of the page. Did I really forget again? Or is it broken? Maybe it's broken. Or you know what it might actually be doing is still firing up the server, most likely. Yeah, that probably was still firing up the server. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. See, now we're basically right at the top edge there. So we've actually got a thicker strip of space at the bottom there where we can put a label. So if we wanted to add a label to this, we could create it right here and then add it inside of the group. I think we don't really need to create it like right in time. We could actually just create it ahead of time and then we add it to the group. I don't know. Let's actually try it. We might have to create a new one each time. We might have to, but I don't think so. We'll see. Some folks don't like arbitrary, QR codes. It does get weird with the stickers and stuff people can put on top for sure. Trick is to wait to press the buttons until the display goes dim. I gotcha. We could do some kind of maybe put a dot on the screen or something, make like some subtle thing, or it set the neopixels, I guess, actually, as well. When it's ready, maybe it sets the neopixels to green or something. That would probably be a good idea, to have something to show once it's done setting the screen up. The dimness works too, generally, because I think it's 10 seconds, which is usually right around the same time as its speaker. It can beep the speaker, but it depends if it has a speaker. I don't recall if the Pi badge does for sure or not. Okay, so we want a bitmap label, I think, which we're going to have to import. Display text.bitmap label import. It's just called label though. That way the API is the same. We're gonna say web. What are we gonna say? We're gonna say RC details for remote control details. Label equals a new label, but not leble. Text is, let's just do that for now. Other things are what? Do we need anything else? Yeah, we want to put it at the bottom of the screen in the center, I think. But yeah, we can do that here. We can do that here. Dot anchored anchor point 0.5 and 1.0. So middle bottom. RC details anchored position. X is halfway through the screen, so ibadger.display.width over 2 over E. That's not quite what we want. And then Y we want pretty much all the way at the bottom, so that's going to be pybadger.display.height. And maybe just like -2 or something so that it's not like literally touching the bottom. Oh, I did it again. Okay, 119. Using required positional argument. Right, the font. It's the font. Terminalio.font. We'll have to import also. See if I got that right. If I still don't have it right, then I'll go look at the docs instead of keep trying to do it from memory, but I think maybe we got it this time. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I have not added it to the screen actually. So visually nothing has changed yet, but that's fine. We created our label, so we should be able to now go something like pybadger.display.rootgroup.append our label. Now, what I don't know, though, is once we change groups, is this label still going to be... Is it still going to be in that group, and therefore it's not going to let us append it the second time? Also, we need to put some text in this right now. It's blank. Let's put let's just put hello for now. That way we can actually make sure it's showing on the screen. I always like to go in like really small steps when I can. Right, I did it again. Okay. Yeah, pixels. Let's do this for now also, so I stop. After what server, let's go pybadger.pixels. Let's just do the first one equals maybe like a little bit green. Not very much, just a little bit. May not need the light on the camera. That's all right. So now when the server's running, one neopixel will turn green there. Ooh, interesting. We don't have our label. The color? Maybe the color is wrong. Stopped myself. Let me catch up on the chat over there as well. Speaker, let's see. The indicator started would be keen. Something more subtle than the neopixels would be ideal. We can do that. It doesn't run the Deming code until the Wi-Fi is fully connected. Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought it was just on like the accelerometer, basically, as a buzzer. Okay. We want this one. A label. Is our tile grid bigger than I'm thinking? Us covering up the label, but we're putting the label after the tile grid. We create this right here, then add it. Do we see it? I still can't see it. If we make the QR code hidden, do we get to see it then? This will tell us if the QR code's covering it up, which I don't really think it is, but maybe. I almost want to disable the server for a moment. That is really weird. Where is our label going? Does it have scale? I see. It does have scale. So I think the scale throws off the X and Y most likely, because when we're setting the anchor point and the anchor position up here, it doesn't know anything about that scale, right? Because we haven't even added it to the group yet. Even once it does get added to the group, I don't think it knows its parent scale anyway, so... This put it at the bottom of the screen when it is scaled. This kind of assumes that it's scale 2. I guess I should have printed the scale probably, but it's not. Let's see what the scale is on. But we gotta press the button. Oh, grid has no scale. True. So I think the answer here is we probably should be on scale 3, actually. Probably is too big, truthfully. We want to keep the scale of the QR code, but we don't want the label to be scaled by 3. Because it probably won't fit on the screen. Also, I don't even know which values we would be putting in here to scaled by 3. That'd be divided by 6, I guess. Sure, that's right. Anyway, though, I think we don't want to do it even if it is right, because, like, I think the text is going to be too big. It is finally on the screen, which is nice. But it is much too big. If we put an IP address, I mean, first of all, we're hiding the QR code, which probably will be covering up part of this. But if we put the IP address, it's probably wider than the whole screen, and even if it's not wider than the whole screen, we have 0 extra room for anything else. So we want our label to not actually be at scale 3, which means we need to basically make a new group, I think. Go QR screen group is a new group. This one's going to be scale 0, or 1, I should say. Just normal. What we're actually going to do then is I'll show QR code. We then get the scaled QR group, which is currently now on root group. What we're going to do is go that's that. But then what we're going to do is we're actually going to just, for a second, make this none, or make this actually this QR screen group, which is scale 1. We're going to make root group this. And then we are going to add the scaled QR to it. And since we are just creating this group and keeping it, I do think we can actually put this back up here so that we don't have to create it every time. And we can actually add this to the group all the way up here as well. True. Label is in there. I don't think we want to add it yet, actually. Is there a remove all? Not really. But we could just call pop. Fix out of range. Okay. If we keep calling pop until we get an index error, that will remove everything. Which I think we'll want to do. While it's not empty, remove things from this, but this should also be... Oh, right, that doesn't work for some reason. Control-Alt-T is supposed to be surround with, but it's actually opening the terminal. What kind of error was this? Index? Index. Error. It's false. It is empty. And then we stop looping because now that's false. So pop, 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 and then stop looping. Show the QR code. Set the QR code group into there. Show the QR screen group. Add the QR to the QR screen group. Add the label. To the QR screen group as well. We don't really want this. We don't need scale anymore. Don't need to add this because it's actually back here. We should probably do this before, basically right after that. So now we should have scale 1 text underneath scale 3 QR code. Except for we're in the terminal. Triple. But also I left my divisors all wrong. Should be back to actually divide by 2, and this should be back to not divide by anything. It could show the QR code page when it's ready. Then you can always just click the button to go back. There we go. Now we have hello down there below the QR code. That's what we wanted. Except instead of hello, we want the IP address, which is this. I don't know if that will all fit, but we'll see. Kind of. We're really close to the QR code. Let's do line spacing 1.0. I'm pretty sure the default is like 1 point something. Let's also try without this and see if we are touching the bottom or not. Party streamers. Yeah, there we go. I think IP alone is fine. We can do that. You like HTTP? The one thing that I think is nice maybe about including that is a lot of phones might default to HTTPS, which I assume will not work. So some browsers you may actually need to actually type the HTTP, but some browsers you may not. This works actually. If this works, then there's definitely no need to. No, that one doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Open the browser there. So this will tell you how to get there. I think my phone is actually over there playing music. I'll look in the which is QR code is, yeah, QR code is pointed to the same thing as well, which is the IP address. So that should open up the page for us. Okay, there we go. Cool. Next thing we want to do is make the page better, basically, in a few ways. For one, it's like all cramped up in the top right corner, and it doesn't say anything, and it's like super duper bare bones. It doesn't have any style or anything. What we want is, let's see. We definitely want, I think, like a header of some kind, just like a title or something, because like right now it's just like stuff at the top of the page. Lots of pages will have something that just says like what it is or something. And then I think we could probably put the things like in a line in the center. If we put these three controls in a line in the center, then it will be like a remote control on the phone, basically, right? Like we'll be making use of the portrait, because like a lot of the, well, my browser's doing it won't connect with HTTPS, yeah. I was getting ready to say probably the majority of people will be viewing this on a phone since it's at a conference, but it is at a conference for Python, so like probably the vast majority of attendees actually have a computer. So we'll want to actually probably keep that in mind as well. There could be people viewing this on the desktop, but I do think kind of down the middle here, and then it will just, the middle is always the middle, and so if they're on a phone, then it's like this, and it's down the middle here, whereas if they're on a desktop, it's down the middle here, and we've got lots of room for it. Off the top of my head, I think the way that I would do that by default is probably flex. I'll have computers. Exactly what I was hoping for. Make it prettiest from mobile. Okay. We want, I think, like flex. Which one of these had? Flex column in center of screen. This is pretty much what we want. We want each one of our items to be one on top of the other. Some of these things I don't think will be critical for this. We'll cut out some stuff if we find that we don't need it. One thing we definitely don't want any tomato color going on. Or we don't really need the border either. I'm gonna comment it though in case we decide that we do actually want to see it if stuff is looking weird. It's just flex item, we don't need background color. Padding, we'll see what the padding looks like. Width, we don't want to do these things, I don't think. I'm not sure if it's gonna be mad at us if we don't. It's gonna work if we don't have a width. The rest of that stuff should be fine. So now if we put each one of the things we have into a flex item, oh, and we need rows too, or we need one row. Flex container, one row. and flex item. I'm just gonna make a couple of those and then put these things inside. We could probably just give flex item to this. Probably work, but have to hit the sack. Good night, all. Yep. Take it easy, Dave Odessa. We'll see you next time. Hope you have a good night. And we'll wait for that to load. You can view it on the device, but I'm also going to try like this. Yeah, there we go. So now we got a nice vertical stack. I don't know where our H1 went, though. Didn't we add an H1? Kind of weird. Is it white? Maybe it's white. Or maybe our row's height is messing it up. Nope, it's white. Flex item has color white. I don't really want that. This is to do with the H1's padding, I'm pretty sure. Let's make it a span instead of an H1, and then we could make it bold or whatever if we want. This title. It's preference, but I tend to think sans looks a little better. Maybe a little bit more space between these items vertically, because we do still have like a lot of empty room. And in particular, the ones which you have to touch, especially on a phone, it's nice if you give people some extra padding so that they're not accidentally hitting the thing above or below it. We can do that with probably either padding or margin. Don't think it matters, or probably we could do it with maybe not. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's one that can go on the parent that determines this as well, but I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. Yeah, there we go. Gosh, it's such a minor thing, but it kind of does bother me a bit that this is a button and this is a link. Does that bother you, Katney? Doesn't bother you, I can leave it. It would be nice if the button font was bigger, even if we do leave it though, because like we have Gigantor link and then like teeny tiny set color. It does look weird like that. Let's go button like this. Whoa, 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 whoa. ID? ID. Okay. Hashtag. The font size. Size does bother me. Okay. Let's try. I don't know. I don't even, honestly, I don't even know what I don't know what. Okay, that's a touch on the big side. Just a little bit. It's messing with our margin as well, interestingly. Step away, be back in a few. Yep, take it easy. We'll see you when you get back. Be good. Guess this is because button somehow Grows outside of its parent for some reason. Can I change the height? Do we have to have the height of this hard-coded? If I just take that out, does like thing work better? Yes. Yeah, now, yeah. This is what we want. Now each thing will grow to be however big it needs to be to fit the thing that it contains. Much better. So off, can we make off a button? Yeah, we can make off a button. It can just be... I mean, could maybe be a button inside of here. I don't know if that will mess it up. Okay. We'll do button so that we get all buttons. Then this is not the live page here, so if I do stuff, it's not actually going to work. If I come back to this one, could leave this here. It doesn't really matter. Okay, well, one thing we cannot do is give it a totally bogus one with an L there. Actually running? Wi-Fi, okay. It was rebooting from the last time I saved the file or something. Oh, and now it's going to this L again. Failed to update server. Is that making it restart? Let's just close that one. Here we go. Color thing? Color thing did not get initialized. Probably that means we have syntax error. It's getting a bit of weirdness like this the other day. Got stuck. I feel like sometimes we're not transferring the whole thing successfully. Because we're getting stuff like this. I don't think this is in the file. Let's start deleting these things. Also try to cut out any empty lines that we don't need. To keep this as small as we can. Welcome back. There we go. Well, it does still say this kind of stuff. Illegal character. Stopping it from running too. It seems like I'm always finding it here. There's nothing there. So it's like interrupting the JavaScript somehow. That L. So here at the A, it's the same place every time. This has to be like an escape problem, right? But it was working before we added like style and stuff. Okay. Slightly revised plan. What if we host the CSS and the JavaScript in a file just on GitHub and then load it remotely through the page? So we'll rely on the user's computer connecting out to there for those two pieces. The thing I'm gonna check before I try all the way. What does this do if we take this and put it here and then just change nothing else? We still get the we still get this? No. It really seems like it does not like returning that string. If we can refactor the JavaScript not to need it. What is this? Oh, weird. It's just PyCharm showing me something weird. Kind of trying to do it with the extra one. So if the extra file lives on the badge, then it is trickier, I think, than if the extra file lives on the internet. Although I'm not sure which way you tried. I'm actually gonna try with just the JavaScript first, actually. Well, oh, I did so totally not mean to do that. Good thing that was PyCharm and not OBS, though, huh? Right. It's like, did I not just change this code? Yeah, I did, but it was in this over here. So that's source. So now instead of loading instead of just having JavaScript raw inside this file, it's going to load it from this file over on GitHub, which means that the WSGI server inside the badge does not have to return the JavaScript directly, which means my suspicion of if the weird characters in the regex are bothering it, if that is the case, then it will be fine with it this way because the resource from this was blocked. No sniff? That might make it trickier. So basically, I think, is that telling us that GitHub returned this with a text MIME type? Text plain instead of JavaScript. Library Lights controller does have a color wheel selector. I forgot. Implemented that already. Goodness. It even said take out the branch, and I put it right in there, didn't I? There it is. Okay, and then this actually has the right MIME type. Question mark? That's the favicon. I don't even see a content type. Well, but it was 304? Is that why? There we go. Application JavaScript, UTF-8. I wonder why GitHub does that. Is there something you can put at the top to force it to think it's JS? I do not know. If so, that would be a GitHub convention more so than a JavaScript convention. I'm actually surprised that it does that. I can't say I've ever given it a whole lot of thought, but I would not have thought that that's what it would do. I would have thought that it would basically check this and then have a list of known MIME types that it uses. Oh, let it reload because we waited too long. Saved again or something. Reloaded as soon as it got in. I also don't have TO anymore because I... What? Corrupted content, but not found. Did I copy the URL wrong? I did, because it has main. So this definitely shows up. Got the main in there. So it returned us a 404 with an error message that was text, and it was still plain text. So when we request the right file, then it will set the MIME type for us. There we go. Looks green there. No issues here. Firefox does remember the color here. I don't think all browsers do that, but Firefox does. Mega green. Boom. We got mega green. This is the fake one. Okay, this reloaded itself. Oh, actually the code reloaded. I think my computer sometimes is writing stuff to this, causing it to reset. I suspect if we ran it off of the battery only, we get a lot fewer resets. There's our blue. And turn off. There's our turn off. We did get this weird thing again, seemingly. Still working though, because we got red. Okay, what does it look like on a phone? I'm gonna close it here. What was the project for? This project here is just, oh, did I go back and delete that? I left that in. Did actually. Back. You can always take it out too if you don't want it. If I recall right, I think you said it was okay to leave it, but then I did come back and delete it anyway. So it's like getting ahead of myself a bit. That. Can't really get it to where the everything is in focus all at once, but it's got the IP address in it. Put it up on my phone. It's kind of comically tiny, and in the center, I'm pretty sure we want this thing. Oh, it's like... I'm pretty sure we want this. Side index. Okay. The project is for just a badge to show off at PyCon. Just kind of to show off the CircuitPython generally, but also a couple specific pieces of hardware, like obviously the badge itself, and then in Katney's case, the thermal camera she's got connected to it, as well as the airlift featherwing being utilized to kind of sort of IoT send triggers to the device. In our case, those triggers are going to set the neopixels, but it could do anything, obviously. That actually changed the size. So tiny. But will scale bigger. Disable auto reload. Just turn off resets in BooPy. Oh, I just turned off resets. The syntax changed recently, though. Can you, how do you, so then do you do like, just still Control C and Control D? We have put a smaller number. I feel isn't zoom in is what we want though, right? Don't we want to zoom in? Let's try like still do Control C and D. Okay. Seven, I don't necessarily need is. Oh. Oh, I see. 7, it catches it and then does the old one. Fair enough. Yeah, so we could keep that. We might as well have both. So now theoretically, if we modify this and save it, it won't reset? It's still reset. Do I have to, but I have to use reset button once because we changed BootPy? There we go. Yeah, now it doesn't reset. Oh, yeah, now it doesn't reset when we code. Thank you for that. Okay, let's get it from the browser. Phone browser. I wonder if I should be like reloading or going all the way back to scanner. Oh, okay, wow. That's not quite what we want. I almost wonder if I got a cached version or something last time. Try 2. I mean, 2 is in between. Usually 1 solves this, though. Usually I set this to 1, and then that's like it. I wonder, you know, because my code... Oh, no, it doesn't. It reads it at the beginning. That's right. Yeah, we do need to Control-C, Control. I'm going to say because my code reads index inside the route, but that's not true. It does not. It does it at the beginning here. I'll try refresh next time. What? Okay. So I think we just didn't get it. I think we had it. I think we got a cached one, honestly, because 2 is like that, which is still a lot bigger and not all the way on the screen, obviously. I'm pretty sure 1 actually should do what we wanted initially, and I think maybe I just did not actually get updated version of it when we refreshed the first time. We're going to rerun this. I will try a refresh instead of reloading it, but then I'll reload it if that refresh doesn't work. There we go. Yeah. Now we're good. That's what we wanted right there. It's like, fits pretty nicely on the size of the phone there. And choose our color. That color, we turned it to red there. It did zoom itself out here. I think that's again though because of the way that I had it cached. I'm pretty sure if I force refresh, it's gonna give me the big one. Surprised by that though. Yeah, okay, now it did. Yeah, now it did. I'm pretty sure people who view that for the first time, if they had never viewed the small one like me, then it would just always be correct. On theirs, always be the big one, basically. So we should be able to go off. Boom, lights off. Go to a nice green color here. That color. It's maybe closer to teal, but, you know. No colorologist. Okay, we're looking pretty good here, I think. What else do we need? Did you want, if you are back around again, Katney, which I think you said you were back, did you want the page to say, like, hi, I'm Katney or anything like that? And then do you want that link out to your website or anywhere specific? Go below this one? Oh, yeah. This is so much shorter. This item. Just maybe my website. Placeholder, you know what? I still haven't figured out what I wanted to say. Can you put some placeholder? Yeah, definitely. I'll put you, we can actually just go placeholder here. Then I'll put a placeholder link also. Then you can always just delete any lines that you don't end up wanting to use. Link placeholder. This one can be anchor. Just go maybe CircuitPython.org for now. I could leave it blank as well, but should be able to modify it. Okay. Okay. is now, interestingly, all of those are the same size. Oh, okay, yeah. Wait, title is bold? Wait a minute. So class title is bold and sans serif. Class title is on this, but not on these two. But on the page, they all look the same. Which is not really a problem, but is not how I thought CSS worked. To be fair, have that phenomenon often with CSS. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. It's behaving like we had put title on all of those, even though we actually didn't. Oh, that is even more weird, actually. This one's different. This has the serifs, so this one is treating the font differently. This one is more like what I expected. Maybe my phone just has a sans serif default font that looks bold. I would not be shocked, honestly. There's a lot of weird stuff about not only Android, but my phone as well. That's probably what it is. It does look fine here. It could also be smaller as well if it didn't need to be so big. If you want like subheading or whatever, it could be something like title is then other spans are smaller. Yes, one of the great mysteries of the world for sure. Span could be smaller. Still do sans, and then I think maybe it doesn't need to be bold. I don't know. Obviously, all of this stuff can be tinkered. Oh. Play off center now. Oh, it has something weird in it. We're getting these weird characters. Huh. I wonder if it is we are kind of like at the limit of how much WSGI can return and be happy about. I wonder if we're seeing those weird ones as we're adding more stuff to the dinner. Seer, need to eat. Yep. Take it easy. Be back afterwards if you're still hacking. Yep. I'll be around probably about 30-ish more minutes. We'll see you around later on if you're back. Otherwise, hope you have a nice dinner and a good night. HTML headaches? Yep. No, always headaches. Also, I mean, one thing we could do also is like the CSS, but we're gonna have the same problem, aren't we? With we're gonna have the same problem with the time type, I bet. My assumption is basically we'll have the same root problem, which is GitHub is not going to return this with the proper content type. I assume the browser is going to have the same problem with it where... But this is through JS Deliver also, so maybe that handles... Maybe that... Oh, in fact, this is literally doing the same thing. I never looked at this code. This is literally doing the GH... This is pulling from GitHub. Okay, we should be fine then, basically, right? We can just use the same stuff. So I'd say probably hug report to JS Deliver for having content type be set correctly, since GitHub does not for some reason. Yeah, I think maybe once your page gets too big, this thing doesn't want to return it all properly. That could be a bug in the WSGI thing, which is inside of the ESP32SPY library. I will say there's actually an HTTP server library, which might ultimately be a better way to make this project. But I started down that road and was having out-of-memory errors, which is why I ended up switching to WSGI version. But I would say, like, moving forward, that would probably be, like, the library that would be the better one to start from. And maybe just figure out if we can tamp down the memory needs a bit. But in this case, I ended up switching just to get it done quick, ready to go for next week. I wish these buttons were the same width. I would say that's probably one of the few remaining things that I would do differently if I could just change the page. I can. Fortunately, now have to like go through this whole edit the CSS and upload it to GitHub thing, but so this ended up as about 164 pixels in width. Let's go 164 on both of these. Does HTTP server work on ESP32SPY? Yes, I got it working, but I ran out of RAM. I had memory allocation error from basically if I would request multiple times. Like if I would just load the page once and use it to set the color and then stop, then everything was fine. But if I would load the page again or try to set the color multiple times, it would eventually give me the memory error, memory allocation error. That being said, like, maybe I did not set it up right. It's very possible. I did take a relatively quick stab at it, but that is what I found. With this project, like, with all the badge stuff as well. So it wasn't just the server by itself. It's also, like, being able to show this image and show the QR code and show the hello, my name is, and all that stuff. So, like, it does have definitely extra stuff in RAM. Okay, so the good news about the pleasant thing, the nice thing about having our CSS over in this other place is that we should be able to just like refresh this, and as long as it actually fetches new stuff, then this should update, even though we did not rerun the code on our device, since now we have like an external link. That did not work. We do have this thing again. Let me just give it one more. Yeah, still did not work. Let's look. We do have, it says button font size. Okay, so we're not getting the new style. So we will maybe just wait for another, let's see if it matters if I close that, but I wonder how often. Oh, it says cached though. Okay, this time it was not cached, but it does still have the old one. The JS deliver though might be caching it in between, in which case we just have to wait for their cache to run out. Not necessarily. Also not the end of the world. Update the index file in here. The indention really like that? Not gonna, I'll save it here. I'm not gonna push it just yet though, because I'm still waiting on the other one to show up. Or how often? I wonder when their cache refreshes. cd in.js deliver GitHub cache update. This is not through the GH thing though. This one is. Or why it only did one of these. Oh, they're both the same actually though. I wonder why it didn't do the first one. Also a bunch of these that it doesn't seem to be doing. Or at least not commenting. Surely these people would have posted again if it didn't work, right? This is such a weird plan A. It's locked though. No, we can't do it. Oh, our purge API. Okay. Fair enough. Is this for the Pi Gamer? It is technically, I guess, for the Pi Badge, I think is what Kattni will have, but the Pi Gamer is what I'm running it on, and the Pi Gamer and the Pi Badge are close enough that it might as well be the same thing, to be honest. For the purposes we're doing, they're basically the same thing. Like, you could use them interchangeably for this project. Purge cache, JS delivery, easy to use API, useful new version update will now work for. Can't use it anyway. Okay. Yeah. Hola a todos. How's it going, Jose Luis Barea over there on the YouTube? Sorry if I mispronounced your name at all there, my friend. Pleasure to have you here, though. So let's put the version in there, I guess, right? This way it's a different file. Call this version 100 for now, even though we happen to know there was other versions. Save that. We're going to add it to the repo. We are going to commit it. Back into our index page, we are going to call this style. Save that and then restart. Then we should get the updated file. And then theoretically we can change the version whenever we need to make a new one. If we need to make a new one. Ideally it will just be now, and then we don't really need any more new ones. Yeah. I probably should have known better than that, honestly, because it was actually 164 point something. So 164 is probably too small. So we are gonna go ahead and update that again, actually, to go. That's 269. Let's just do 200. That should be plenty. We also need to change the version number again. Fortunately, we now have to like add this every time. Kind of a pain, but I suppose we don't have to delete the old one. We could keep it. I don't really want to just keep adding new versions. Why is there a PyBadge LC and a PyBadge? What's their difference? Good question. One of them is cheaper. That is the main like functional difference. Is one of them costs less money. The one that costs less money is missing some of the pieces of hardware, which is how they're able to make it cost less money. It has fewer neopixels. It has only one neopixel instead of 5. What are the other differences? There's a page that says this somewhere. I'll probably mess it up, honestly. I'm not the best source for this. I think in here. Yeah. So PyGamer has a joystick. That's the gamer, though, not either of the Pi badges. Both the badges have the 4-button D-pad. The gamer, again, has a stereo headphone that the badges don't. The gamer, again, has a loudspeaker, but does not have the buzzer built in. I don't know why I was reading that section. This is the section that actually has the stuff we want. So PyBadge LC, it does not have the connector for the speaker. So you can't plug in the louder speaker on the LC version, but it does still have the basic buzzer. The LC version is missing the feather header on the back. There's a female feather header, which in our case is actually quite important to the project because we have feather wings plugged into it. So we would need that in order for this project to work. The LC does not have the stemma connectors on the edge, and the LC also does not have the accelerometer. But then everything else is the same besides those 4 things between the PyBadge and the PyBadge LC. And I want to say it's like about $5 or something, right? This one is the full one, and it's $34.95, although it is out of stock currently. And then the other one I think is $30, if I recall correctly. It's also out of stock, unfortunately. Maybe DigiKey, I don't know. Nope, none there either of the LC at least. Nope, none of that. They do have PyGamers, though, I happen to know, because I looked it up the other day. Yep, those are the differences for it. PyGamer looks more interesting. It's pretty cool. I certainly like the PyGamer, but I'm also kind of a sucker for, like, video games, basically, right? So I really like the idea of being able to make your own little video game inside that thing, which you can do for any of them, but the Gamer is the one that is kind of more heavily focused towards that. The joystick and the stereo headphone kind of add a lot if you are making a game, depending on what kind of game it is. Although, like, a D-pad is functional enough, right? Like, you don't need a joystick, so. Let's refresh this, I think, right? We should be able to get the latest version with wider buttons, I think. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm after. Okay, that's looking good. Let me double check on the phone. Set it to a red. Set it off. Purple here. Pink. PyBadge makes a nifty front panel. Into Eurorack type thing, it looks like there. Maybe not Eurorack, I guess, specifically. It looks like just slotted T-bar aluminum. Yeah, the buttons. There you go. That's a nice idea, because then you've got a full little control unit, in fact. Yeah, that's actually a good tip. Using the PyBadge as like the head of a whatever doodad, right? It gives you a screen, and it gives you all those buttons, which you can use to scroll through a menu and do actions. A lot of projects will want to have that basic functionality. About 15 minutes. Let's transition a bit and work on the snake game. So in the snake game, I think there's a couple of things we want to do. We do want to make a splash screen, I think. And we also want to make it so that when you run into the edge, you lose. Right now, the game is in what I'll call like mega super duper easy mode, which is that the only way to lose is to actually run into yourself, which obviously is like the traditional way to lose a game of Snake. But also, typically in most implementations of Snake, if you hit the wall, I think you also lose. So the point is you have to like turn, up or down or whichever wall you're going, right? You need to make sure to turn at the last second. Otherwise, if you head into the wall, then typically you lose. This implementation, it's not set up like that yet, but we're going to change it so that it is. Another thing I'm going to make sure to do here real fast is actually update my index file inside of the repo. And then I'll wait to push since we're going to modify Snake as well. This way I can push one commit with both of those changes. And so Snake is in its own file. One of the cool things about this is the way we have it set up for launching other files. It's actually using that supervisor next code file. So it's actually going to set the next code file to be, in our case, Snake, or maybe the thermal camera script. And then it's just going to reload so that it will run that next code file the next time it boots up, which is going to be right after this reload happens. It's basically going to reboot it. That way we can launch any other kind of like third-party external scripts that we want, just as demos of different CircuitPython stuff. In our case, we want to find the Snake one. I'm stalling a little bit while I find and doing a poor job of it, but now we're finally there. And we want to make Snake a little bit harder. This is like super duper training wheels version. You can just you can essentially just pause indefinitely by running into the wall in this version, which I thought was kind of nice because you can like just run into the wall real fast and then put the badge down and like have a discussion or whatever, and you don't lose. But it does make the game a lot kind of less fun, right? If you can't lose, right? So I think what we want is well, it's gonna be inside of like move Snake, I guess. If not, game over. If not, paused. If it's time to make a step, then call world.moveSnake. Yeah. Basically what we want is all these returns right here. These are us pausing when we hit the wall. Basically, it's saying like if the next place that we're about to move, the next square, you can think of it as a two-dimensional grid. If the next square that the Snake is about to move to is greater than 0, then go ahead and minus. This one's going left, which means it's minusing. So if we have room between the Snake's head and the left wall, then go ahead and move left by 1 by minusing. Else, it was not greater than 0. It was either equal to 0 or less than 0. In our case, it will always be equal. It is just return, which means it doesn't do anything. It doesn't move anywhere, doesn't do anything. It just returns, and then next iteration, it checks again. But what we want is to lose. So we're going to go raise game over. Instead of return, we're going to put this in all 4 of these. And then that should make it so that when you hit the wall, you lose. How's it going, Katney? Welcome back. So you just plug in the feathers. Feather wings. Feather wings. Yeah, one important note is feather wings can fit on the back of this. So this is a airlift feather wing, as opposed to something like this, which is a feather, TFT feather in this case, ESP32S2 TFT. As far as I'm aware, I mean, obviously this one has no pins, so you can't plug it in, but even if this had pins,
you cannot plug this into here. You can't plug two microcontrollers together, so you can't do a full feather and the Pi badge or gamer or whatever. But feather wing, you can plug into that, and there are all sorts of feather wings that do all sorts of different things. We've got the Wi-Fi one here. Katney's got the thermal camera one loaded up on her version of this project, and there are dozens and dozens of others that do various different things. So let's give this a try. In order to run it again, I am just going to go ahead and lose. That's going to tell us the score. It says press start for CodePy, so we'll do that. This will launch us back over to the badge. We'll wait on the web thing to load up. There's that, and then we go select and select again to get snake. There we are, and so theoretically if we hit the wall we should lose now. Ooh, still no. Maybe we need, maybe we're probably off by 1. My guess is we're off by 1. Let's think about these numbers real quick. Whoa. Portable air quality monitor. Nice. Looks pretty cool. I like the case that's in as well. It looks, I don't know if it's for sure sealed with rubber or whatever, but it looks like a nice weatherproof case, honestly. Looks like it would keep out water and stuff. Yeah. So we must be off by 1, right? This is, so let's say for right, if the direction is right, if the head X is less than width minus 1, then we plus 1, else we, I didn't save this. I did not save this file. Okay. I bet you it does work, but you have to actually run the code that you're trying to run in order for it to run, turns out. And I think even doing this whole reset, I'm pretty sure we should be able to just launch it again now that I have actually saved it. It will already be running, so we just let this go. Ta-da, there we are. Interestingly, your score is always 3. Should we minus 3 from the score? That's kind of a minor detail. Basically, the score is the number of squares of your snake. And since your snake starts as 3 squares, your score actually starts on 3. Or should we just start it on 1? Why does it start on 3? I guess because if it's only 1, it's not really a snake. It's just a block. Where does this tell it that it starts on 3 even? How big is that John? John. Portable air quality. It's kind of big to carry around. Oh, the air quality thing? It's got a loop on it though, right there. Oh, I'm not scrolling up the one that you can see. Got a loop there, so it can be just clipped to something or whatever, right? If that's the thing you're talking about. I'm not familiar with this term. I don't know if that's a word for air quality thing or... Let's start the score at 0, okay. So what we will do, so we could either change the snake to only start with one thing, or we can keep it on 3 and just change the score after the fact. So where is score? It would be in here, I guess, right? So it just says, oh, okay, so it just says length of snake. We can just go length minus 3. So then if you are on 3, you'll get 0. If you're on 4, you'll get 1, 5, 2, so on and so forth. Basically, you just minus the 3. Let's look in here if it, I'm curious now, where does it say the length of the snake? Starting location in a starting direction. Then it has a grow function.
It has a size which returns locations. Locations. The list, which contains starting location. Zero. Start on 3. John is a slang term local to Philadelphia and Delaware Valley that may refer to a thing, a place, a person, or an event, substituting for a specific name. John is context dependent. Substitute a noun that substitutes for other nouns. Interesting. Yeah, I never heard that term, but I guess that makes sense though. I have not spent too much time around Philly or Delaware. Waterproof Pelican case made to protect a cell phone. Okay. Nice. Yeah, it looks super cool to me. Starting location. So starting location and 10. Am I crazy or do we not? Okay, first of all, let's double check. It starts on 3. It starts on length 3, right? Because that's why we got score 3. Because I didn't catch any apples. Gotta wait for the thing. Yeah, it's already 3 because it can make an L. You need 3 blocks to make an L. Oh, did it work? Oh, it still says 3. I probably didn't save again. Yeah, in fact, I didn't. It's right here. Didn't save again. Okay, that's fine. Check that out next time. I do have -3 now, so it should put it down to 0. Super curious looking back at this, though. Like, where on earth is the 3 even coming from? We have Snake. Starting location 1010 says inside of locations is now just going to be a list with starting location. So it's a list of lists that has one element, which is this list containing 1010. Self.tail. I don't actually have a self.tail yet. Maybe that's part of it. So when we grow, we say which direction are we facing? And then we basically find the XY coordinates. I think this would be in the grid space, not the pixel space, but the grids of the last segment of the snake. And then we go one farther than that, and that's where the new one is going to spawn. So we say locations.append new segment. So we started with 1. This would add another 1 each time it gets called. Are we calling grow multiple times? Says file with 8 default. There it is. Okay. Yeah. We start with 1 there, and then we call grow twice, which is how we're getting to 3 initially. Let's make it a variable. No, actually that we don't even need to minus, do we? Range. What does range do? Starts on. I'm gonna go 0 to 2. Yes, we do need a minus. Minus 1. Loop over this, put this inside of here. We only want to call it once per. So this should still do 2 because we started out on 3. And then what we'll do is we'll minus this from score at the end. So now the starting size is a variable and you can change it to whatever you want. 'Cause, 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 ' Catch up on the chat. Why did Adafruit void my Pi order? So I don't have any insight into the factory. You're probably better off with like support than me, but what I'll say is I know Pies there are a lot of restrictions on as far as like your account has to be, you have to have an account, you have to be logged in, your account has to be two-factor enabled, and then you're only allowed to buy one, I believe. So if you were not logged in, or your account doesn't have two-factor, or you've already bought another Raspberry Pi, those would be my best guesses as to why they would not have fulfilled it. But those are complete guesses on my part. I have zero insight into the factory or the shipments or anything else. So I honestly don't know, and support would be probably the better place to get an answer on that. Let's see here. Suggestion, maybe make initial direction random. That could be fun. Yeah, we're going up always, I think. That's true. I thought of adding a GPS module, go back to measurements, location, and time. It's a great design. So that's for the, I think, the air quality one. The cell phone underneath it, I feel like it'd be terrifying to carry around. Waterproof. Okay, now we're there. Need to be rugged and dust proof. Good idea. This one's designed for young asthmatic relative. Go camping with. Nice. Yeah. This live is good to learn Python. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Let's do save our file now, and then let's do, well, we actually will restart just by going back to here, so. You have to wait on the Wi-Fi thing again. Keep forgetting for some reason. There we go. Yeah, now we're still at 3. Let's make sure the score says 0. Boom, 0, perfect. Let's make sure that it goes up if we actually get an apple. So let's gain 1 apple and then lose, and then make sure the score is 1. While that's working, then I do think I'm going to take Patrick up on the plan of random starting direction. Oops, that was not the arrow button. What's that? So now we'll just run into the wall. We should get score 1. Perfect. Perfect. We could change it as well if we wanted at this point. If this was 2, theoretically, this should still work fine. It's kind of convenient the way the badge is different from the snake. That way, like, even though we turned off the auto reload, we can always just kind of like go back through one iteration. Yeah, now we have only 2. We can no longer make the L. We have to actually eat an apple before we'd be able to make an L. Now we can. We'll just hit the wall there. Or 2. Perfect. Okay. Random. Yes, good idea. Let's do that. How do we decide which direction we're going? I think that's hard-coded somewhere. I will put it back to 3 for now. Know that it really matters. If Katney has preference, you can change it here now, or change it to just to show people how easy it is to change your code. Stick is better to use. Not sure what you mean, the stick. A net of the snake, maybe. Random. Pretty sure there's random in here somewhere. Yeah. Rand int. If we're lucky, yeah, these are actually 0 through 3 anyway, so if we get a random int from 0 to 3, that should work for us. Oopsie doodles. Is it just... Oi. Whoa. Okay, we don't want 4. We want 3. 0 and 3. Okay, so they're both literal. Oh, we're stuck in the REPL. I mean, we're not stuck in the REPL, but we're in the REPL. Pygamer. Oh, yeah, with the stick on the Pygamer. I'm with you. The joystick, yep. I do like the joystick, yeah. I mean, the D-pad's not bad, but... I will say, like, honestly, the Pi badge will always have kind of... I will always probably have kind of a soft spot for the Pi badge, or even more specifically, like, to throw another wrench into this. Technically, what I will always have a soft spot for is the Edge badge, which is a modified Pi badge that has almost the same hardware, but one difference is it has a speaker on it. And the reason why it has a speaker on it is it's intended to help it run, what do they call that? Tiny machine learning, TensorFlow Lite, that's it. Thank you, details page here, for saving me, because I was not going to come up with that. This one was made to run TensorFlow Lite, but it's pretty much a Pi badge, and it's pretty much the first CircuitPython device that I got that I actually, like, wrote a bunch of stuff for and got super interested in. Like, I would say, honestly, this device kind of got me involved in CircuitPython as a project. I got one of these at Hackaday Super Conference in 2019, right before the world went insane, and for a lot of the beginning of the world going insane, I was playing with this thing to keep myself sane. And that is a lot of, like, why I got involved with CircuitPython, was that device. So I will always have a soft spot for it, and so in that way, the Pi badge will eke out better nostalgia for me than the Pygamer, but I do really like the Pygamer as well. Okay, so we should be random now. Oh yeah, we started going down that time. So I'll just eat one apple and then lose, and then we'll restart a few more times, just make sure we go different directions. Oops. Start. Microphone, yep. On the Tensor, on the Edge badge there, has got the microphone. Yep, this time we were going left. Worth noting as well, just a heads up too for that Edge badge, since I was talking about it, that TensorFlow stuff does not support CircuitPython. If you do want to do the TensorFlow specifically, as far as I'm aware, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it's Arduino style if you're going to do that kind of TensorFlow stuff. And you have to, like, train your model in the PC or something, and then you copy it into there. I've only messed with it very, very, very briefly, the actual TensorFlow portion of it. And at the time I did it, at least it was not in CircuitPython. So heads up, this is a CircuitPython stream, but in that particular instance of that thing, that's actually more on the Arduino side, I believe. Yeah, so we're looking good here. We're starting different directions each time. We did up that last time. I didn't mention it, but it was going up obviously there. What about having a button restart the game inside the game, so you don't have to go through the badge every time? Oh yeah, we could do that. So basically, maybe at the end, so after you lose, maybe it just says, like, start to go back to the badge, but then select, for instance, or A or B or whatever, to just restart the snake game. I like that idea. That would be in here, and so basically that's saying, like, else if the game is over, and then it's saying if the start button gets pressed, then supervisor reload. We'll say select button instead. Could be A or B or anything else too, though. So we could like... We could like recreate all of these things. But honestly, the restart mechanism is kind of convenient. How do you get the, can't you print the name of the file in Python? Does that work in CircuitPython? Let's see. Start should restart the game. We can do that. Switch it the other way around. Something else could restart the badge. You do like underscore underscore something, or os.path 0. No. What's args? sys.argv0? Is that going to give you the file name? Okay, we actually want to go back. We want to start Snake and see if it prints out code Snake game. So we could just hard code the string. We might end up doing, but index out of range didn't actually work. Okay. Name underscore name equals main, but that's like name of Python get name of the script file, name of current script underscore file. I don't know if that works in CircuitPython. I would test it from the REPL, but it would probably do something different from the REPL. Yeah. Does the Snake code work with the PyBadge up, down, left, right buttons? Yes, it does. Yeah, it definitely does. The way the Snake game is written, it uses PyBadger.button, which PyBadger, in addition to helping you do your conference badge stuff, also has an abstraction layer for the hardware buttons, including the joystick on the PyGamer to turn it into pretending to be like down, up, left, right buttons. So that PyBadger library makes it so that the joystick behaves the same as the D-pad. Oh, no, still no. Yeah, there we go. Code Snake game. Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Keith. File, that's what we want. And so I was gonna say like we could just hard code it, but this is nice because that means if you happen to save this Code Snake game as a different name, this can still work. So we'll say, let's say start is gonna restart the game, and then select is gonna restart the badge. So in order to restart the game, I think we want to actually just make use of this thing again, because this is already really convenient. Just say set next code file to ourselves, and then reload. Okay, and then I saved Snake, and currently we're at the end just waiting for this, so I am going to press start this time, but this is the old version of Snake, so that's going to take us back to the badge. We're going to launch this again, which is going to be the new version of Snake, and at the end now the start button should restart Snake directly. The select button should go back to the badge. Although we will need to update the screen too, because I think the screen's now wrong. So we get to there. It actually says press start for CodePy, but that's incorrect. If we press start, we're hoping it goes back to Snake again. Perfect.
and then I'll just let it finish, and then if we press select, that's going to get us back to badge. Perfect. Press start for play again. Press start. Let's say press start to play again. Let's room to where we don't have very much room. I don't know how well that fits. Analog stick is like it was in the PSP 1000. Never did get a PSP. Press start, play again. We almost don't. I think we don't even really need press, honestly, right? And they would be more aligned vertically. Like start will be on top of select. We don't need. We have different parentheses also. We don't need that. I wish the line height maybe was not so tall. Let's see what it looks like this. So the good news is actually the convenient thing is I should be able to press start. I think that's going to give us the new version of Snake. We'll see. Yeah. We have an extra space. Yeah. That's right here. Again. Start. There we go. Start, play again, select, badge. Back to badge. Let the Wi-Fi get going. The wall. Start. Ooh. This is a tough one. This is where the wall danger comes in, right? Because you have to hit this turn at the end here perfectly, otherwise you lose. There we go, we got it. We're still in like super easy mode right now. It does get faster too. Like the higher your score, it's harder because your snake is longer, but it's also harder because it gets faster. Like we just had a speed up there, which make these turns harder too. Oh, camera hitched on me. Okay, we'll call it after this one. Chomp. Up to 6. Nice. Could you do press any to play again or select to go back to the menu? You could. Yeah, good question. You could. We would, if you wanted to do that, you would just need to put more of these. You could just say else button A, button B. Yeah, those are the only other 2 buttons. But yeah, you totally, these ones here are just checking for the different buttons. So you could have like duplicate this one and be, I don't know, is it just .a or that part I'm not sure of. Let's look in CodePy because that one will have it. Yeah, okay, those are just single letters. A, whoa, we do want this. A reload and then go B reload. And then wait, do we want any key to be reload the game or any key to go back to badge? Any key to go back to badge, right? Yeah, start for restart the game. Any other button to go back to the badge. Makes sense if we put other. Sure these match. Are globals common in CircuitPython? Regular Python development, global usage is typically shunned. I don't know. I don't necessarily think I could speak for common in CircuitPython. I will say, like, personally, I do not personally have quite the aversion to globals that it seems like are made best practice not to do with Python. Personally, they don't bother me that much. Especially in a script like this, it's 100 lines of code. It integrates this with this one, which is 200 lines of code. So it's not nothing, you know, it's a fair amount of code, but it's also not like a gargantuan project. I can still wrap my head around everything inside of this and keep the entire picture in my head to the point where globals, I don't feel like I'm going to get in trouble with them. And then one of the things is, like, you know, sometimes you find stuff that's like best practices says don't use globals. Well, like, one of the ways you could avoid using globals is make an object with all these things on it and then just be changing the object. But at the end of the day, like, what really changed in that point, right? Like, we made our code a little bit more complex in order to make it, like, follow this technically best practice thing, but, like, at the end of the day, we just have properties on an object, and we can change those the same way we could change global variables. I don't necessarily see one as better than the other, and so yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not the best. I'm probably not the best person to beat the drum of the don't use globals. I don't mind globals too much. And I find that sometimes when you rack your brain to make it so you're not using globals, you end up using a thing that is functionally the same that PyLint or whatever you're checking with just doesn't care about because it says that's okay. And maybe it is okay. Maybe my judgment is just wrong, but to me it feels silly to change, like, these two function the same. It's not really easier to shoot yourself in the foot with one or the other. So, I don't know. I don't really see one as that much better than the other. It depends, though. If it's a huge project, it definitely starts making a lot more sense. And, you know, especially if it has lots of different files, which are all kind of keeping their own scopes and all of this kind of different stuff. Like, as it gets more complex, that does definitely start to creep in more and more as something that I would look to do in my own code bases. But for a relatively basic thing like this, I'm pretty much take the approach of do whatever you like. And in my case, what I like is quickest and easiest to write, even if not strictly following all of the best practices 100%. Did we change anything else? Snake help. Did anything in Snake Helpers change? I will update it just in case. Maybe it did. I don't remember. Oh, I changed badge. Second, actually. I'm gonna leave this how it was. Code badge with WSGI. This is actually the one with the new code in it. I'm gonna leave code badge the same. That's the one with no extras. It doesn't have WSGI or MQTT or anything. It just does the badge by itself, not the web NeoPixel stuff. Badge with WSGI, that's gonna be the one that does the NeoPixels with the web thing. Specifically with the HTTP server, the WSGI version of it.
Okay, let me catch up here, and then I think I'm wrapping it up for the night. One of the more experienced devs would be better to chime in with globals. Yeah, totally agreed. I also, for what it's worth, I have zero like formal training with Python. Let me make sure I'm not lying. Yeah, I have never taken a course to learn Python at all. Everything that I have ever learned about Python has just been me discovering it and using it. So I definitely don't claim to do anything the correct way. I kind of just forged my own path, and I am a bit stubborn sometimes, so I don't necessarily always change my ways when I should sometimes, so that kind of keeps me stuck a bit as well. Most CircuitPython code, the bit you write is usually only run on the board, and messy global soup is a lot hard to generate because the scope is bound to what's on the microcontroller. Reasons you need to avoid globals in general in Python is a situation that you don't come across as often, yeah, on the microcontroller scale. Guessing it makes the code run faster on the microcontroller because you don't have to pass values around. I would assume that's true, but I don't actually know for sure the ramifications of global versus not as far as the speed and all that stuff. I would assume it's better on some level, but I don't actually know. Sort of it depends way. Yeah. For some reason I assume the micros that work with CircuitPython would be a lot closer to PC Raspberry Pi than Arduino. Learned something tonight. Thanks. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for tuning in. Happy to have you. Happy to have you around. But yeah, I would say you're on the right track there with what you said. The CircuitPython is definitely closer to an Arduino more so than a Raspberry Pi. Typically, they're very, very small computers as far as computers go, and they do work a lot closer to how an Arduino does than a Raspberry Pi. Not a full version of Linux or anything in there, so neither have I. Everything I know is learned on the job or on my own. Yep, Katney's saying too about Python training. So, okay, I updated the latest stuff in the repo. Katney, you've got the repo. If anybody else is interested in checking out this code, I'll post this in the chat as well. That's the repo where the code I was working on is at. It's all relatively descriptively named. The snake game is in there. The snake helpers are in that file. The badge, the one that we were using, is this badge with WSGI. That's the one that will host the web server so that you can load this page and set the neopixels. So all of that stuff is in there. One thing I do still want to do, I think you mentioned at one point, Katney, a splash screen, some kind of like startup screen or something. I do think that would definitely be really nice to have, so I will try to add that in tomorrow as well, and I'll ping you when that is in. But otherwise, that is going to do it for now. We're a little over as far as I normally go, but it's cool because we had something fun to work on. I am going to head out now, though, and go get some dinner. I hope everyone who's watching has a good evening. I will catch you next time. For folks that are interested in content like this, you can catch me streaming again tomorrow morning if you're interested. I'll be working on similar sort of stuff. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. It will be over on my own YouTube and my own Twitch. I'll put links in the Discord when I get started. Since the links change from week to week, I'll put the links in there. And yeah, I'll be back at 10 a.m. Central. We will carry on doing this as well as some other stuff, I think. I don't think this will take the whole time tomorrow, so we'll play around with it some more. But otherwise, that's going to be it for now. So long, everybody. I will see you all.